Life is simple. We complicate it. Think about it for a moment. Nature doesn't rush. The sun rises, the seasons change, the rivers flow, all without a plan, without stress, without overthinking. Children, too, live in the moment. They laugh, they play, they cry, and then they move on. No grudges, no endless to do lists. Yet, as adults, we pile on complexity. We chase status, overanalyze every decision, and drown in the noise of our own making. What if we've been getting it wrong? What if life's beauty lies in its simplicity? Today, let's explore how nature and children teach us to strip away the clutter. Let's reflect on why we complicate things and how we can find our way back to what's real. Let's start with nature. It's the ultimate teacher of simplicity. A tree doesn't worry about growing taller than the next tree. It just grows. A bird doesn't stress about its next meal. It flies, it searches, it trusts. There's a rhythm to it all. Effortless, unforced. Nature is our greatest reminder that life doesn't need to be complicated. Picture a forest. The trees stand tall, their roots digging deep into the earth. They don't compete for likes or followers. They don't compare their branches or stress about the shape of their leaves. They exist, and that's enough. Each tree grows at its own pace, shaped by the sun, the rain, the wind. There's no rush, no deadline, no 5-year plan. Yet somehow, everything works in harmony. The ecosystem thrives without a single meeting, memo, or strategy session. Why is that? Because nature operates on trust. Trust in the process, trust in the seasons, trust in the balance of life. A flower doesn't bloom because it's trying to impress anyone. It blooms because it's time. The petals unfold when they're ready, not a moment sooner. Compare that to us. How often do we force things? How often do we push ourselves to meet arbitrary deadlines, to achieve goals we don't even care about, just because we think we should? Let's think about a river. It flows around rocks, over hills, through valleys. It doesn't stop to overthink its path. If there's an obstacle, it finds a way, not by stressing or planning, but by adapting. The river doesn't say, I need to be the biggest river, or I need to flow faster than that stream over there. It just flows, and in that flow, it shapes the landscape, carves canyons, and nourishes life. Effortless power, born from simplicity. Now, consider the animals. A deer in the wild doesn't wake up worrying about its to-do list. It grazes, it rests, it moves when it needs to. It doesn't chase status or hoard resources beyond what it needs. Survival is enough. Survival is the goal, and it's achieved through instinct, not overthinking. Compare that to our lives. How much time do we spend worrying about what might happen, planning for scenarios that never come to pass, chasing things we don't even want, just because society tells us we should? Nature shows us that life can be simple if we let it. The sun rises every morning without fail. The tides ebb and flow. The seasons turn. There's no anxiety in these rhythms, no second guessing. Yet, as humans, we've built lives full of noise. We've created systems, social media, work culture, endless notifications that pull us away from this natural ease. We've forgotten how to trust the process, how to let life unfold. Let's take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you sat under a tree and just were? Not checking your phone, not planning your day, just existing. Try it sometime. Sit with nature, watch the clouds move, listen to the leaves rustle, feel the ground beneath you. There's a peace there, a simplicity we've lost touch with. Nature doesn't need our complexity. It doesn't need our schedules or our stress. It just is. And maybe, just maybe, we can learn to be that way too. Now let's turn to children. If nature is the world's teacher, children are its students, and they've mastered simplicity in a way we adults often forget. Think about a child playing in a park. They run, they laugh, they fall, they get back up. They don't overthink their joy. They don't worry about how they look while they're playing or whether they're doing it right. They're fully present, fully alive in the moment. Watch a child build a sandcastle. They scoop sand, pat it into shape, maybe add a stick or a shell. They don't stress about whether it's perfect or whether it'll last. They build it because it's fun, because it feels good. And when the tide comes in and washes it away, they might cry for a moment, but then they move on. They don't dwell. They don't hold on to the loss. They start again, or they find something else to do. Contrast that with adults. How often do we let go of things so easily? How often do we build something, a project, a career, a relationship, and obsess over its permanence? We cling to outcomes, to control, to the idea that everything has to last forever. But children, they understand instinctively that life is fleeting. They live for now, not for tomorrow's worries. Children also don't chase status the way we do. A toddler doesn't care about having the best toys in the neighborhood. They're happy with a cardboard box if it sparks their imagination. They don't compare their clothes or their snacks to someone else's. They don't feel less than because their drawing isn't as good as another kid's. That comparison, that need to be better, comes later, taught by adults, by society, by the world we've built. Think about how children ask questions. Why is the sky blue? Why do birds sing? They're curious, not critical. They're not asking to prove a point or to look smart. They just want to understand. But as adults, we stop asking questions like that. We're afraid of looking foolish, of not knowing. We overthink our words, our actions, our place in the world. We lose that childlike wonder, that ability to just be without judgment. Here's another thing about kids. They forgive easily. If a friend takes their toy, they might get upset, but 5 minutes later, they're playing together again. They don't hold grudges. They don't spend days replaying the argument in their heads. They let it go. Imagine if we could do that. Imagine if we could release the weight of resentment, of overthinking every slight, every mistake. Life would feel so much lighter, wouldn't it? Children live simply because they haven't yet learned to complicate things. They haven't been taught to doubt themselves, to chase external validation, to fill their lives with noise. They remind us what it's like to live without layers of worry, without the need to prove anything. They show us that joy doesn't need a reason, and life doesn't need a plan. So why do we complicate things? As adults, we fall into traps that nature and children avoid. One of those traps is overthinking. We analyze every decision, every conversation, every possible outcome. Should I take this job? What if I fail? What will people think? We spend hours, days, even years stuck in loops of worry. Nature doesn't do that. Children don't do that. They act, they adapt, they move forward. Another trap is the chase for status. We're taught that success means more money, more followers, more achievements. We compare ourselves to others, measuring our worth by external markers. We buy things we don't need, take on jobs we don't love, all to prove something to someone, maybe even to ourselves. But a tree doesn't grow to impress anyone. A child doesn't play to win a trophy. They do it for the sake of doing it. Then there's overwhelm. Our lives are filled with noise, notifications, deadlines, endless choices. We've built systems that demand our attention every second. We're reachable 24/7, expected to respond instantly to keep up with everything. But nature doesn't multitask. A river doesn't try to flow in 10 directions at once. A child doesn't juggle a dozen tasks. They focus on what's in front of them. Why can't we? The truth is, we've created a world that rewards complexity. We're praised for being busy, for having full schedules, for doing more. But busy doesn't mean fulfilled. More doesn't mean better. We've forgotten how to pause, how to breathe, how to let life be simple. Life is simple. We complicate it. Nature shows us how to trust the process, to let things unfold. Children remind us to live in the moment, to find joy without overthinking. But as adults, we build walls of worry, status, and noise. Maybe it's time to unlearn some of that. Maybe it's time to sit with a tree, laugh like a child, and let go of the need to control everything. In the next part, we'll explore how minimalists embrace simplicity, how they strip away the excess to find meaning. We'll look deeper into why we chase complexity and how we can choose a simpler path. For now, take a breath. Reflect. What's one thing you could let go of today to make your life a little simpler? Let's continue this journey together. Welcome back. We've been exploring how life is simple and how we complicate it. In the first part, we looked at nature's effortless rhythm and the joyful simplicity of children. They don't overthink, they don't chase status, they don't drown in overwhelm. But as adults, we do. We pile on layers of complexity until life feels heavy. Today, let's talk about a way back, through minimalism. Minimalists choose simplicity, not because they want less, but because they want more of what matters. They show us how to let go of the clutter, physical, mental, emotional, and find freedom in the essentials. We'll also dive deeper into why we complicate life and how we can choose a different way. Let's begin with minimalism, a practice that's not about deprivation, but about intention. Picture a room with just a few things: a chair, a table, a plant. It feels calm, doesn't it? That's what minimalism offers: space to breathe, space to live. Minimalism isn't about having nothing, it's about having what matters. It's about clearing away the excess to make room for meaning. Think about your home. How many things do you own that you don't use? Clothes you haven't worn in years? Gadgets gathering dust? Papers you'll never read again? Each item takes up space, not just in your house, but in your mind. Minimalists understand this. They ask, does this serve me? Does this bring joy? If the answer is no, they let it go. Let's imagine a minimalist day. They wake up in a room that's uncluttered with only what they need. Their morning isn't rushed with a dozen tasks. They make coffee, sit quietly, maybe journal or read. They don't check their phone first thing. They don't let notifications dictate their day. Their schedule is intentional: work they care about, time for people they love, moments for themselves. They don't fill their hours with busy work or their closets with stuff they don't need. They've chosen simplicity, and it gives them freedom. Contrast that with the average adult's life. We accumulate things: clothes, gadgets, commitments, thinking they'll make us happy. But more stuff often means more stress. A closet full of clothes makes choosing an outfit harder. A packed schedule leaves no time to think. Minimalists flip this. They own fewer things, but each one has purpose. They say no to obligations that don't align with their values. They create space for what's real: relationships, creativity, peace. Minimalism also applies to the mind. How many thoughts do you carry that weigh you down? Worries about the future, regrets about the past, comparisons to others. Minimalists practice mental simplicity too. They focus on the present, letting go of what they can't control. They don't clutter their minds with grudges or endless what-ifs. They ask, is this thought useful? If not, they let it pass, like a cloud in the sky. Let's look at someone like Marie Kondo, whose philosophy of sparking joy has inspired millions. She doesn't just tidy homes, she helps people rethink their relationship with stuff. Keep what brings joy, she says, and release the rest with gratitude. It's a simple idea, but it's profound. It's not just about decluttering your space, it's about decluttering your life. Minimalism teaches us that less can be more. Fewer possessions mean less to clean, less to worry about. Fewer commitments mean more time for what you love. Fewer distractions mean more clarity. It's not about living like a monk or giving up everything. It's about choosing what adds value and letting go of what doesn't. It's about making life simpler, not by force, but by intention. So why do we complicate life? If simplicity is so freeing, why do we choose complexity? It starts with how we're wired. Humans are problem solvers, but we're also storytellers. We create narratives about who we are, what we need, what success looks like. Those stories often come from outside, from culture, media, social expectations. We're told we need the big house, the fancy car, the perfect career. We're told that busy is good, that more is better. Social media amplifies this. Scroll through X or Instagram, and you'll see curated lives, perfect homes, perfect bodies, perfect vacations. It's easy to feel like you're falling behind. So we chase. We work longer hours, buy more things, say yes to every opportunity, thinking it'll get us closer to that ideal. But it doesn't. It just makes life heavier. Another reason is fear. We complicate life because we're afraid of missing out, of failing, of not being enough. We overthink because we're scared of making the wrong choice. We hoard things because we're afraid we'll need them someday. We stay busy because we're afraid of what silence might reveal. But nature doesn't fear. Children don't fear. They trust life to unfold. Why can't we? Then there's the trap of control. We think if we plan enough, analyze enough, do enough, we can control the outcome. We make spreadsheets, set goals, micromanage every detail. But life doesn't work that way. A river doesn't control its path. It flows around obstacles. A child doesn't plan their day. They live it. Trying to control everything only makes us feel more out of control. Society rewards complexity too. Being busy is a badge of honor. Saying you're slammed at work makes you sound important. Owning more stuff signals success. But at what cost? We're exhausted, anxious, disconnected. We've traded simplicity for stress, and we're not even sure why. So how do we choose simplicity? It starts with awareness. Notice where your life feels heavy. Is it your schedule, your stuff, your thoughts? Pinpoint the clutter and ask, Do I need this? Does it serve me? If the answer is no, let it go. Try this. Declutter one area of your life. It could be your desk, your closet, or your phone's notifications. Start small. Take 10 minutes to clear out a drawer. Turn off unnecessary alerts. Say no to one commitment that doesn't feel right. Each small act of simplification creates space for peace, for joy, for you. Next, embrace the present. Nature and children live in the now, and we can too. When you're eating, just eat. When you're with someone, be fully there. Put your phone down, look around. The world is alive, and you're part of it. You don't need to overthink every moment, just live it. Let go of comparison. Your life doesn't need to look like anyone else's. You don't need the biggest house, the most followers, the busiest schedule. You need what makes you feel alive. Focus on that and let the rest fall away. Finally, trust the process. Life is messy, unpredictable, beautiful. You don't need to control it all. Like a river, you can flow. Like a child, you can play. Like a minimalist, you can choose what matters. Simplicity isn't about having less. It's about making room for more of what's real. Life is simple. We complicate it, but we don't have to. Nature shows us how to trust. Children show us how to live. Minimalists show us how to choose. We complicate life with overthinking, status chasing, and overwhelm, but we can choose a different way. Start small. Clear one corner of your life. Be present for one moment. Let go of one worry. Each step toward simplicity is a step toward freedom. So what will you simplify today? What will you let go of to make room for what matters? Take a breath. Feel the lightness of that choice. Life is waiting. Simple, beautiful, and yours.